Look, the Chicago Bears are about to make an unexpected move, and at the very least, it's a move that they should consider making, because you got all the chatter right now about Caleb Williams in the offense, right? Rightfully so. But one of the areas I'd like to see the Bears shore up is defensive end, right? Sure, Dio was signed to pair with Sweat, but beyond that, not spectacular at all. The Bears could definitely use a guy in the rotation. And the guy I want to talk about is Zadarius Smith. Now, this would really stick it to the Detroit Lions because it looks like they released him in a cost-cutting move, and they think they can just pick him back up without anyone else competing with them. I think the Bears should swoop in here. Even though he's 32 years old, and this is from Zadarius Smith's own Twitter account, nothing wrong with self-promotion. He's posting this about himself. This is a retweet. He actually was 8th in the NFL with pressures at 67. 8th in the NFL as well with pressure percentage. But here's the most important thing, and this is why I would love to have the Bears bring him into this team in a rotational manner, because this is a perfect guy to rotate in on third downs. He has a 20.5% pressure rate on third down. That's 4th in the NFL, and then sacks. He had 9 last year, and that ranks 11th in the NFL. Just a fantastic player to bring onto this roster. Yeah, I'm my own producer. There's some technical difficulties there. So this move makes so much sense for the Chicago Bears. The answer to this depth issue that we have is absolutely right out in the open. And then you look at the depth chart behind Sweat and Dio. You've got Austin Booker. You've got Dominique Robinson. Then you've got Hardy. Then you've got Chroma, a guy who didn't even make the roster last year, and Carlton, another UDFA. And Zadarius Smith, he was absolutely instrumental for the Detroit Lions last year, and that's when Hutch went out with a season-ending injury. He's currently a free agent, and I think we should give the Lions some competition for his services. And how wild would it be for Johnson to continue to stick it to the Lions, sign Zadarius Smith right when Detroit is in need of another pass rusher, another solid pass rusher? Now, let's be real, though. The Lions and defensive end Zadarius Smith, they've remained tied together despite the team releasing him prior to the start of free agency. You're looking at during the league meetings. GM Brad Holmes of the Detroit Lions, he said the team definitely had interest in bringing Smith back, but he made a point to say at the right price. And then Smith, he took things a step further. During the BET Awards, he said that he wanted to return to Detroit. The thing is, the guy's got the right attitude. He would be the perfect addition to this Bears locker room. This is a quote from him. "When I'm there, I feel like a leader and like I can influence the young guys and just do great things. This is a player that wants to be a mentor, and he really likes Detroit." And the thing is, Detroit hasn't gotten it done yet, though. The Bears, it's time to swoop in. Goes beyond that, he would be a quality rotational player. The price is affordable. And if you're looking at the Bears want to see Ben Johnson's offense installed, but also they need to sign another pass rusher. And this is from Knox. Defensively, Chicago could use another pass rusher in its rotation. The Bears signed Dio Odangbo to complement Montez Sweat, but the edge depth behind those two is questionable. Fortunately, proven pass rushers like Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and Von Miller, they remain unsigned. It would be smart to add one of them before the start of camp. But if you look at those players, Smith is by far the best of the remaining players available. And the Chicago Bears are hoping for a great season, right? In a few months, the season's going to kick off. Tons of hope behind everything having to do with this squad. But you got to do your due diligence, and you got to have all of your main areas on this roster shored up. And there's still a few holes. I think we have a little bit of a hole as finding a backup linebacker to really fill out the room. And the same can be said about defensive end. So I'm fully on board with this move. And we're looking at if he could possibly come to Chicago. What's realistic? And what's realistic for what it would cost to get him here? In a June 17th feature for Bleacher Report, Christopher Knox, that's who I was quoting earlier, he kind of went through every NFL's team to-do list leading into the season, and this is what he had to say about the Bears. He said that Smith should be the free agent that Johnson should target. In the piece, I'm going to quote from this. The Bears gave edge rusher Dio Odangbo a 3-year, $48 million contract during the offseason, and he should form a potent tandem with Montez Sweat on the outside of the defensive line, but he also notes, he agrees with this, the options behind that duo are all unheralded. Zadarius Smith gives the Bears another proven edge rusher. He's a free agent, and he's actually been in the NFL for 11 years. And over his career, he's made 333 tackles, 173 quarterback hits, and 69 sacks. And Fabiano, he actually interjects here. At this stage of his career, the veteran would function as a rotational pass rusher, but having to face off against Sweat and Odangbo right into Smith, that would definitely strike fear into all opposing quarterbacks. So if he were to sign here, that means he's going to have officially played for all 4 NFC North teams. Chicago is looking for big-time pass rush help. They have the cap space to do it. It sounds like a no-brainer here. Let's look into last season, because this is a what have you done for me lately type of league, right? Smith had 9 sacks in 17 games. He played 9 games for the Browns. Then he was traded to Detroit at last year's deadline. He proceeded to have 4 sacks in 8 games for the Lions. Looking at a 3-time Pro Bowler, he's been one of the better pass rushers in the league for quite some time, and he might not be as effective as he was when he was with the Packers. Just an effective defensive weapon and exactly what Chicago's looking for. So as far as the cost here, after the Lions acquired him pretty much midway through the season, 4 sacks, once again, 12 tackles, and 1 pass defended for Detroit. 32 years old, rotational veteran. He can set the edge. He can provide leadership, and he's played for the Ravens, Packers, Vikings, Browns, Lions. Let's give him another shot here in Chicago. We're looking at minicamp starting very, very soon, and kind of look at why as well he wasn't kept by Detroit, and also what it's going to cost for his services. To hear from Brad Holmes once again, we just weren't in a position to keep him at his salary because, look, he played some good ball for us. He made plays for us when we acquired him, so we'd have loved to have been able to keep him. We just weren't able to. So Chicago needs to make the Lions pay for this move. It seems kind of egotistical that they can release the player, save money on his salary, and just perfectly bring him back in. Let's compete here. We're looking at 9 sacks last year. I think this year he might be good for, let's say, the 6 to 8 sack range at 33. Let's kind of look at some salary comparisons here. Players with that production at that age. We're looking at 6 to 8 sacks right at about 32, 33. Leonard Floyd, he's going to be 33. 8.5 sacks last year. He got a 1-year, $10 million deal. Von Miller at 36. Man, 6 sacks, still unsigned. Khalil Mack, 34 years old. He only had 6 sacks last year, but he just got signed to 1 year, $18 million. And then you've got Harold Landry, 29 years old, a little younger, 9 sacks, 3 years, $43 million. That's about 14.5 per year. So I don't think a deal's going to get done with Zadarius Smith from Detroit or Chicago or anyone else for that kind of money. Smith doesn't really have the long-time reputation, I'd say. It's some of the players that I just listed. They're all making 8 figures a season, though. So I don't see the Bears paying up to $10 million for him. The Lions said no thank you to $11 million. Let's kind of find another comp, and I think a good comp is Cameron Jordan. He's going to be 36 years old. Man, that's old player. 15 NFL seasons, and he just accepted a contract that got revised to a 1-year, $6 million deal, up to $4 million in incentives, $2 million based on sack totals, $2 million based on playing time. So that could be worth up to $10 million. I think that's perfectly how our GM likes to work, give incentive-laden contracts for a player like this, something that protects the team. I think it'd be a really small cap hit as well. And I think if the Bears are going to sign Smith, I think it'll have to come in that $5 to $7, maybe $8 million range, a good amount of incentives. The thing is, will the Bears offer that? Will they outbid the Lions? I think it's a definite possibility. I think it's a move the Bears have to make. And you guys let me know in the comments what you think. Bear down. It's been a long offseason. Camp is right around the corner. Stick with me with Chicago Bears news on the daily in the meantime. See ya.